All right. Welcome back to the Power Not Podcast. I am your host, Corey. And then we also have the co-host that is not ready. Her name is Casey.
I gotta get the giggles out.
Okay.
Okay.
She's got to get her giggles out.
Yeah.
She'll get used to it over time. But just to catch you back up, our last episode was kind of an introductory to Casey's life. And it was more like lacrosse than weightlifting, I feel like.
Probably, yeah.
But it's okay. Now you know her backstory. So now we can kind of talk more about, her move to Indiana here with me and just kind of...
Roommate.
Yeah, roommate and just kind of catch up on where we left off at. So give us a recap.
Update of life the past, I guess it's been like a little over a month since we posted.
I think so, yeah.
The dogs are going crazy. That hasn't changed. Getting more settled here in Indiana. We've had some fake, false springs, which has been great. Coming from Colorado, where we get so much sunshine, I think the winter here in the Midwest has been rough with how gray it is, but it's been nice to see the sun more. We've had some warmer days. As you can tell, we're not wearing our coordinating sweatsuits either, so it's been good to get a little bit of sunshine. Really just getting settled, I think, at home, but also with new training schedule. Work has kind of shifted a little bit for me, so feeling a lot more grounded and at home here in the Midwest.
Yep, because the weather, as you know, is very unpredictable. It's nice and shiny out, but I bet you tomorrow morning it's going to be gray and cold.
Yeah.
And don't let the warm weather fool you. We're still going to have 3 more weeks of winter, I bet. So just always prepare for the worst, but glad you can experience what I experience as well. And those of you guys who also live in the Midwest could agree and, just experience the same things that we experience. But yeah, so she's getting settled in, life's been kind of crazy and whatnot, just trying to get used to things. It leads me into the very first question, Casey, is how do you feel balanced between work, life, and training? How's that been?
I think on the up and up, as I kind of alluded to, I think a lot of newness, which is good, has been great for both of us. I think sometimes people talk about that and it's thought of as more negative, but a lot of positive change, right? We're living together. We're not doing long distance anymore. The dogs are getting adjusted here. My work hours are the East Coast instead of mountain time. Training in a new place. I used to train kind of alone. Now I'm training around people. Getting back into weightlifting after a little bit of time off last fall. So it's kind of been throwing myself into everything at once. But I do think I'm starting to feel a lot more balanced than maybe a month ago when we did the podcast.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, she's having some, on the up and up and little hiccups here and there, and that's okay. For training-wise, do you feel like you're getting back to where you were, or are you kind of feeling like you're playing catch-up?
I think it's tough because I feel like I've become such an advocate for being honest with yourself and recognizing when you do need to take time off and not just grinding through something, because I think that's why in any aspect of life people get so burnt out and then you almost don't want to do this thing that you love because you kind of lost sight of that. So I think there are days where I do feel like I'm kind of playing catch up, but I feel like I'm in a better headspace to where I can kind of think about that for a second and try to get that thought out of my mind, continue on, and just recognize I'm in a different arc of my training and of life and everything, and maybe stay grounded in that more than that feeling of playing catch up, because my numbers might not be where I would like them to be right now.
So, what is some of the biggest obstacles that you're facing now that, training looks a little different, right? Schedule's a little different, new location, new gym. Kind of walk us through mentally or just maybe physically what you're feeling and how has that been for you?
Yeah, I think, and we've talked about this a lot, but last year not being as a whole a really great weightlifting year for me, and to where I was going to training and just not really feeling like myself. So taking almost 2 3 months off from like serious weightlifting training. When leading up to that, I wasn't feeling like myself. It's hard. I think it's been difficult to have realistic expectations of where I would be like coming back, because I do feel so much better than I did even where I was a year ago, with a lot of like health stuff and whatnot. So, numbers aside, going into training, feeling a lot better, not feeling as beat up, but maybe some of those mental blocks that I've had from having an injury, being a little bit too hard on myself.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, that's a perfect example because in this sport, a lot of people don't really take in the fact of like, you're not going to be able to hit your all time PRs all the time. If you take some time off, some injuries happen, you're kind of resetting like certain numbers or percentage that you're
Hmm.
going off of. Like with you and Ryan, like sometimes you have like training like percentages, right?
Hmm.
To where like, hey, like your all time snatch is 95, but you're working off of something else that you've hit recently within the
Yeah.
past like 6 months or a few months, right?
Hmm.
I think that's very valuable for people who are just starting out or people who's been in the game for so long because people
Yeah.
get so hung up, especially someone who's been doing this for a long time,
Hmm.
where they only think about, oh, like you're going off of this top thing, but you're not in shape for that.
Yeah.
And I think like people need to treat it as like seasons to
Hmm.
train, like seasons in the sport
Yeah.
as far as competing or just training for longer periods of time.
Yeah.
And is it something that I thought about that would be worth like talking about?
Absolutely. And I think even 'cause it's like maybe in the moment I might not be giving myself this much grace, but I'm gonna say it now. 'Cause I think something too is a lot of times as athletes we might think, "Oh, well, I'm just like not in shape to hit this number." What's been frustrating for me personally has been feeling like I am in shape, but mentally, and specifically snatches, I think I'm a much stronger snatcher than clean and jerks. So walking up to the bar and having snatches feel very foreign, and not because I'm weak, but maybe weak in positions because I took time off. It's such a technical movement. So when it feels foreign, snatching is like the weirdest thing we could do. You're not doing anything in your daily life
Yeah.
that like resembles a snatch. So I know something that Ryan and my coach and I have talked about is like my squats. I've hit some PR squats. Like my legs are strong enough, my knees feel good. So trying to find other ways to trust that like my strength is there and those numbers will come. We're kind of like ironing out some kinks right now. And really just, I hate to say it because it's like cheesy, but like trusting the process with a lot of that. And that comes with good programming too. Good coaching, good programming.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of like training and programming and leading up to stuff, like we were both prepping for like certain competitions and you want to talk about like what future competitions you have
Mhm.
and like what are you guys actually working on in the
Yeah.
goal?
Well, before I talk about myself, I was going to do the Arnold, and I have an obligation for Puerto Rico, so I shifted and will be at the Arnold, but it's gonna be your weekend, not mine. So do you wanna talk about how you feel about the Arnold?
Sure, I guess, yeah.
We gotta talk about you.
Yeah, so it'll be my um first meet, kind of just doing my own programming, just solo dolo doing it for fun. I'm doing it as a light 79. I'm weighing around like 74 and 75, but it's just kind of leading into my plan was just build into the new weight classes because they're changing like always. So currently, if you guys didn't know, I was a 71, well 73 before 71, and now they're changing them. It goes from men's category from 70 to 75. So I'm just gonna roll into the 75. That way, it's kind of where I sit naturally if I'm not cutting or maybe dieting super specific and just build the strength. And at this point in my life, it'll be nice to not worry about cutting and just building strength and just kind of pushing the numbers all around. And
Mhm.
it's been good. So yeah, I think I've only had about maybe less than 12 weeks to prepare for this meet alone. And so they're about three cycles, right?
Mhm.
3 4 week cycles that I've been
Mhm.
built into and that I've been programming for myself. And it's been kind of nice because I can just focus on some of my weaknesses, some of the things I never tried before, and just seeing what works and what doesn't. Cause I know it's kind of like a good trial period. And I'm not like a total just person, just an athlete who just like making shit up or copying people's programming. I do have like a coaching background and, went to school and all that jazz.
He's
So
being humble right now.
like I've been like, I've been I was like, I've been around the block for a minute. It's not, and
Yeah.
if you know basic like strength conditioning and stuff like that,
Mhm.
then you can just apply it to your own self. So
Mhm.
a lot of the stuff that I did was like exposure to lifts, and I wanted to get back in shape. So what that looked like a little bit was like more volume in the first one. So I was doing like snatch triples, then doubles, and then lead into singles. Obviously, more looks at just more. So I've actually moved from 4 days a week to 5 days a week, and just now that I have more touches with the bar specifically, I'm getting more reps with
Mhm.
snatch specifically because that's more of my weaker one compared to two lifts. And it's been, instilling a lot of exposure to the movements,
Mhm.
a lot of consistency in the movements. And it was like a struggle because in lieu of the lot of volume, I was adding more volume with the Russian squat programs.
Doing it all at once. Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you guys don't know what the Russian squat program is, it is because there's so many different names and so many different types of them. So this one's not Smolov or Smolov Junior. It's just called the Russian squat program. So it's a 6 week squat program, 3 days a week. Yeah, 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or however you want to spend it. And it's basically a bunch of 6x2 at 80% of your max, and then the reps and sets will change, so it may vary by doing like a 6x6 or 6x5 or 6x4 even. And then as the weeks progress, the sets and reps go lower but
Mhm.
heavier at the
And
same
yeah,
time.
and the intensity rises.
Yeah, so I was doing like a 4x4, 3x3, a 2 by at the last week is a 2x2 at your max on day one, and then you end up maxing on the last day. So it was tough because most of my heavier days and the classic lifts were probably Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
Mhm.
or Monday and Friday usually. So my heavier
Yeah.
days, and then I'm still squatting within that, and it was tough. But I think obviously it's been working.
Yeah, he says it was tough. I feel like every time we were in the gym, he's like, "Oh, PR this, PR that," and I think some of that was you doing different variations that you hadn't done in a while. So I think that's like great though. That take those small wins of like I don't know, it's like random. You're like PR hang power clean plus
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
in
yeah.
a complex, but that's a good way when you've been in the sport for a while to be like, "Cool, I hit a PR."
Well, if you followed like the Pendlay method or had that book that Seb from Weightlifting House had written it, and I feel so horrible. I didn't read the whole thing, but I remember when it first came out and I started reading it, and a lot of the times it was just like weekly challenges, or it was more for like a team base, and like the way that Pendlay would kind of like his coaching philosophy was to like have like friendly competitions or just like find a movement to kind of like max out in a day. Like you could always find
Mhm.
some type of variation. If you're not PRing in this sport, you'd find a way to like PR in
Mhm.
order to have fun with it.
Mhm.
So what I did was like, what am I weak at? What is something I haven't done ever, and push it and kind of go off of that goal. So that's
Mhm.
kind of my philosophy in the training that I was doing. And
Yeah.
obviously there's structure. It's not just random
Mhm.
me like CrossFit, like, just random. Not against CrossFit, but just not like just random
CrossFit
programming.
is planned, but it seems a little more random.
but
Yeah.
but yeah, so a lot of the stuff that I was doing was like maybe a hang power snatch for a heavy.
Mhm.
I would always like a lot of the stuff. It's not really gonna tire you out much, and it's more technical. So just limiting factors like a no foot snatch. I can't remember the last time I've done those, so I was programming those,
Mhm.
and that helped with connection, finishing the pull, like especially a third pull, and kind of solidifying that bottom position. So I was playing around with a lot of these different variation stuff that I haven't, and it was good for the mental and something to push, but also it limits you on how much you can actually do.
Mhm.
So that was like some of my thoughts, like when I did building up into my cycles. So again, the first 4 weeks were just like a lot of volume, a lot of reps and whatnot, a lot of triples,
Mhm.
doubles, and whatnot. And then my philosophy there was the second 4 week cycle was gonna be more technical. And that's when you saw me do more like the no foot or maybe like a pause and a dip for the jerk, and just ways that I can kind of fine tune the movements. And then If you go to the last 4 weeks, it's gonna be more of a comp prep. So
Yeah.
where you saw me doing the EMOM snatches, I was doing like, heavy power cleans and jerks and just doing waves and whatnot too. So that was getting me ready for, competition. That was basically my like through my like I guess prep for the Arnold.
Yeah. Do you feel like with switching from 4 days to 5 days a week, I guess like what do you feel is different with like because right, you are getting more touches, kind of default 5 days versus four. Do you feel like it's maybe easier or harder to be more intentional because you're doing more day? Like what was kind of the thought process of doing 5 days and adding that day back in?
Yeah, so previously I would do like 4 days a week, but only be like 3 days of classic lifts, right? But those 3 days would be like really long, like over 2 hours worth, close to 3 hours. And that's not even me just like taking my time. It's like me actually like setting up blocks or doing this or setting up squat
Mhm.
racks and doing that. And those sessions would just like feel like I was getting burnt out a lot. And then you go in the next day and you just like, you couldn't wait for a rest day, you know? And I was like,
Mhm.
and then some of the days was just like bodybuilding stuff. I wasn't really having fun. Uh, this one was just more to like have fun with the weightlifting to do it more often, but also just cut down the volume. So I'm working out more, spending time less in the gym. So I feel more fresh when I go in.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I think that's basically it because I'll do like
Mhm.
3 movements and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And sometimes like less is more in a sense. Like if I could
Yeah.
push a main goal for that day, like if a Monday is a heavy snatch focused day,
Yeah.
that's going to be my main focus. So then I could just focus on that and then everything else just seems less. And then
Yeah.
maybe the Tuesday, instead of doing like a bodybuilding day, I could do something that's light and stress free where I just do, again, 3 to 4 movements and then do some accessories. Where I can go into the gym, not feel like after a long day or whatever I got going on in my life,
Mhm.
I don't have to feel like I gotta spend 3 hours in the gym. I
Yeah.
gotta be on it. I gotta lift heavy. I gotta make these lifts.
Mhm.
You can kind of go in like
Yeah.
more just relax and but
Mhm.
still get work done, but I'm not stressed out about making or missing. Like if I go on Tuesday,
Mhm.
do a muscle snatch, I'm not gonna worry about missing
Yeah.
a muscle snatch, you know what I'm saying? So
We're different. I'd be
I
worrying. No.
I I love like the stress-free parts, like and then like
Yeah.
if I do a big Friday, then Saturday is more not a free for all, but I'll
Mhm.
keep it open ended. I have like ideas. So
Mhm.
maybe it's like a Saturday. If I want to focus on any technical difficulties I had throughout the week, I'd pick like a topic. Okay, like man, my snatches weren't really great and like getting under. So I'll do some like snatch balances and whatnot. So it was nice to have that auto regulation within the program and just not, I think the biggest thing is just not going in and feel like every day was like so stressful. And it's nice. And
Yeah.
yeah, and like I said, I can go in and get it done within an
Mhm.
hour, hour and a half and be good and not feel like I'm missing out because I didn't log everything in my True Coach or you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so I've been liking that a lot. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's how it's
And
been
I
going.
think I think there's something to be said because I know like my training has been kind of I think what Ryan's philosophy is like, people say like less is more. A lot of what him and I have kind of accomplished over the past couple years is like what he calls like enough. I think it's like finding the balance of like what is like enough training volume, intensity, everything for an athlete to where you can have a 90-minute session and get maybe you have for each you're doing like 3 4 movements, 4 working sets, but you're able to be that much more dialed in because and not that you're not focusing while you're warming up, right? But it is, I think like you said, you're not like going to the gym after like both of us have jobs, like we have a life, after a long day of work, like then going to the gym and being like, cool, my 8-hour workday turned into an 11-hour day because I'm training for so long. And I think that does work for some athletes, but it's been nice to see you able to go in and there are days where you beat me training, which is crazy. because I'm usually moving pretty quick.
Not
Yeah.
physically, just I'm getting done with the with the session
That's terrible.
before her.
Finishing the session, yes, English. Finishing the session before me. So I think that's been great. Well, right, for both of us because we're each other's ride to the gym. So it's nice that we're able to kind of be in there getting work done at the same time and on like a similar like time cap
Mm.
for our workouts.
Well, I think that's what it should be, honestly. Unless like you just have that devotion and you need to like really have long training sessions. I think like I forgot who said it, and I hope I'm not like misinforming anyone, but like there's always like a window of opportunity of how much actually you could put in, and it gets to the point where it's like if it's too long, it's actually detrimental to your training.
Mhm.
Like you're not it's not even worth doing
Yeah.
after a certain point where you're checked out, you're exhausted. Like if you're in the gym for over 3 hours training and you're not fueling yourself with proper
Mhm.
nutrients, like what are you doing to your body? You're just
Yeah.
putting yourself in a more of a deficit, and you go
Mhm.
in and your knees are achy, your back
Everything
hurts,
hurts.
you don't get good sleep, your cortisol is probably high
Your
and
recovery
whatnot.
is
Like,
terrible.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, like
Yeah.
go in, go hard for like that's why the model of like CrossFit in general is great because you get your
Mhm.
it's basically just the organized strength and conditioning. You do your strength portion in the beginning, or maybe skills focus in the beginning, and then you have your metcon. So you have
Mhm.
your strength, and then you have your conditioning. So it's
Yeah.
like you have that one main focus, and then you get that all-encompassing
Mhm.
like full
Mhm.
body workout in a day,
Yeah.
and you give your all within that hour
Yeah.
class that you have. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
But
saying?
and I think there's something to be said too about and I know like coming from college athletics, this was a lesson I had to learn as like an adult athlete of I don't need to sacrifice my well-being to prove to anyone that I am a dedicated athlete and that I care about the sport. Like you taking time for yourself, making your workout a little bit shorter or finding ways like to balance things is a different way of kind of maybe proving to yourself that you care a lot about something because it's being realistic that like we're human. And I think when you end up like grinding every day at the gym, it creates this like unhealthy, at least I've experienced this, where it's like it is that burnout of like, gotta go to the gym today instead of like, how lucky are we that we get to do this after a day, blow off some steam. And I think that's an interesting thing. More athletes, not just in weightlifting, but I think of like the Olympics, the figure skater who was like came back to the sport on her own
Yeah,
terms.
Alyssa Liu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope I say her name right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously she's like a prodigy, but regardless, like that's huge to be like, hey, I kind of just am doing the sport for fun. I'm doing it my way. That doesn't mean that she's not working hard, right? She still is, but she kind of redefined what that looks like for herself. And I love that because I know for me personally, with a lot of stuff I dealt with last year, I felt like I was battling with myself, not because of what other people were going to think about me taking a step back, but what I was going to think of myself as an athlete from like admitting that I needed to take time off
Mhm.
so that I could still do the sport and come back and have like that fire under my ass again that I feel like I was losing pretty rapidly.
And I think another thing too, so we've talked about like going from 4 days to 5 days. You think that's more, but if you think about it, it's about the same
No, it is.
because
Yeah,
all you're
it was
doing is
just funny.
shortening
Yeah.
those days
Yeah.
and then doing it more often. So you rather like be in the gym more often, getting more touches, like I was talking about, versus just like crushing yourself for longer. And then I don't know. For me, it doesn't work for me. And it could work for some other people if they wanted to have those like mental breaks where they do rest,
Hmm.
like someone like Olivia, or maybe I think even Kaden may do like 4 days a week. But yeah, it's just like, um, our lifestyle, like take you through like a day in the life. So there's times where, wake up in the morning, drive an hour to work all day. I'll drive an hour back. And as soon as we get back, me and Casey's getting off of work, and
Yeah.
then boom, we're going driving to the gym,
And
which
depending on the timing, that drives like 45 minutes to close to an hour. Because it's not warm enough for the garage gym yet.
yeah,
That'll
yeah.
be a blessing to have.
Yeah, so then we
Yeah.
drive like, 30 to 40 minutes to the gym. So it's like by then, like, do I want to sit there for 3 hours? Like, when I was just single living in my own in a small apartment, I could do that.
Mhm.
but but there's times where, yeah, I can't tell you how many times, Casey, yeah, I got so lazy and I'm leaving the gym around 8 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
and then I'll get Chick-fil-A and go home, and then I can't go to sleep because I drink all my pre-workout like super late. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, how is that? That's not healthy, you
Yeah.
know?
But even I think too, like with us, I mean, again, both of us having like while we were doing long distance, right? We were dating. Tony looks really cute. He's like asleep on the
Yeah,
chair
it
right
does.
now.
Hope I wish you guys could see.
But I think there's a lot of things that when you're living by yourself, or maybe not in a relationship, or I don't know, like when you are just able to only think of yourself, um, you can do stuff like that. But an adjustment to living with your partner. Fortunately, we both we go to the gym together, which is like so awesome that we get to share that. But there are things you have to kind of do a little bit different, and that might mean shifting training. I wasn't in Denver. I was going to the gym because I was able to be a little bit more flexible. I could go to the gym a little bit earlier in the day, and I didn't realize how much of a shift it was going to be going to the gym at the end of my work day on top of work. Also just me, I feel like having more responsibilities, that was like a huge shift for my brain. And once my body like was moving, I feel like I was doing better. But I think that's a reality of like we both have jobs, we're not just weightlifting. I don't even think either of us would only want to weightlift. That'd be pretty boring.
Yeah, it'd be boring. I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wake up, train.
But I mean, those are some of the sacrifices you have to do in order to get to that level. Like
Yeah.
someone like Hampton or even Matty Rogers, like that's their life and they're gonna do it, and
Mhm.
like more power to them. Like honestly, like people may think like, oh, that's easy. You got your life only surrounded by women. That must be almost harder
I think it's
because
harder. There's a lot more
everything's at
pressure.
stake. Just like you were saying, like if you
Yeah.
only did weightlifting and you had a bad session, that would ruin your
That's your
entire
whole
day
day.
because like
And I think, and I don't know if I mean, again, I feel like I just continue to talk about being a college athlete, but when I was in school and playing lacrosse, like I did both, right? So that was like my life. So thinking about not doing that as an adult is weird because it was just kind of like when we were doing lacrosse stuff, you're focused on that. I'd probably be stressing about some like tests that I had. But
yeah, school is
anyways.
stressful.
Yeah, but like that balance was like, I mean, again, a privilege to be able to have been a college athlete and do that while I was in school. And in the same way that, you know, like I think we both have colleagues that don't have maybe like another hobby. And I'm like, what do you do in your free time? It's nice that we get to
Hmm.
like plan our days. We're pretty type A. I'm like A plus 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 plus. Corey's like an A minus.
A minus, yeah.
B plus, A minus. Yeah.
I don't know about B plus. You think I'm B plus?
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like a crazy person, but I guess to be able to like, I look forward to like planning my day and having training, even if I'm stressed about a heavy day. Like, it's kind of nice to have that. And again, I think it is a privilege for us, right? For most adults or don't have stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely privileged to have the life we have and able to go to the gym together, train, and have that similar mindset. So we're on the same page, even though it doesn't seem like it sometimes. So obviously, moving here, you have to
Yeah.
do a lot of big changes in life,
Hmm.
schedule, work-life balance, as we mentioned. There's gonna be some social like sacrifices. So
Yeah.
like what are some things that like we've had to do to like do weightlifting, and would you do anything different?
I think Corey and like anyone who's trained with me and Corey, even when we started dating, people were like, these two? Because we train very differently. Corey's like, I feel like this social butterfly. And not that I'm not, just not when I'm training. I'm pretty serious, maybe a little too serious. He's kind of pulled me out of my shell, which I really appreciate in some of those moments where I'm being really hard on myself. I don't know, he'll do like a vocal like stim and it just kind of like pulls me out. So I think like he's been such a great training partner and support system. Mason's just staring at me right now. I know. He's a good dude. So I think in moving to like a new gym and training around a lot of people again, um, I something I tried to do, and I think I started doing this like a couple years ago, but I think it's okay to need to be really locked in when you're training and serious, and maybe like right for you. Like I think it was a couple weeks ago where you're like, it's too quiet. And I was like, no, this is great. Like we again, I think it's just like different stimulus, but trying to find time like before or after I train to like yap with people so that it isn't just like, wow, Casey comes to the gym and just like doesn't talk to anyone. Obviously, some days I think that's like easier than others because, coming from like even working from home, like a long work day, we drive and I'm just like, all right, let's get like right to it. But I think a lot of the training sessions where I try to embrace like, hey, you're around people, like the vibe at the gym is great. I think sometimes those are my better sessions when it is like giving myself that time to like be a person before I go be super serious. And I think I maybe early on in my weightlifting career thought that that was a sacrifice socially, but it was just me needing to train the way that I wanted to train to achieve my goals and finding ways to maybe feel like it is less of a sacrifice by, like I said, talking to people
Mm.
kind of when I can, and not being so like closed off.
Yeah. And like, yeah, you gotta find something that works for you. And I encourage people to try something different, even if it's uncomfortable. Like maybe someone like who's more lackadaisical, if I could say that right, like just goofing around, not really taking it serious. Like, and they complain about why they're not getting good. Well, how about you actually like try and lock in and like you just like this sport, you gotta practice being brave. That's something I got from
Mhm.
John Northes in the
That's a good
podcast.
one.
Yeah, like think it's scary. It's
Yeah.
scary to get on a heavy bar. It's scary to like try these things that are uncomfortable or like the unknown.
Mhm.
So you gotta like put yourself in these situations where it's like almost stressful where it's like a fight or flight, right?
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
how like if you do that in training, it's gonna translate over to competition to where things do feel uncomfortable. Things do seem unknown, uncertain, scary, but you gotta go ahead and attack it. So
Mhm.
like I said, like practice certain different things because obviously you're gonna practice how you play. If you're just constantly missing, you're gonna probably not gonna be super consistent on the platform.
Mhm.
But then also like you gotta almost be like, if you're almost perfect all the time and something goes wrong and you crash out because things aren't always perfect, then it's just like, okay,
It's
then
relatable.
how do
Uh-huh.
you fix this then?
Yeah.
How do you come back from missing a
Mhm.
lift in the back? But yeah, it's just I think that more people need to hear that but also like it's a good reminder that everyone is different and it's
Yeah.
okay to have those certain things because I definitely train better when I'm not super stressed. I'm
Mhm.
not like hyper fixated. Like a lot of times when training's going good and someone's like, "What did you do right?" or "How did you make that snatch?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just
Yeah,
did
I
it.
just kinda
I
did it.
just did it." You're in a
You're
flow
like
state where it
autopilot.
just
Yeah.
autopilot, and
Yeah.
I think that's okay too. But
Mhm.
then say like if things aren't going well and you're struggling really bad, you're kind of, but then it's like, okay, what is one thing I could focus on?
Mhm.
Because if you get the peanut gallery telling you, "Oh, you didn't finish your pull. Oh, I think you bend your arms. Oh, you jump forward," like, and you're listening to all these like factors, it's like, how can I focus on all those things at once? You're
You
not.
can't. Yeah.
You're not. And like,
No
yeah,
one can.
it just sucks because like you could be like really strong, but just the connection's not there. The technique, like whatever you're doing, could be slightly off. That's throwing it off. And
Mhm.
then sometimes it could just be that you aren't like strong enough to maintain positions. Like you could be
Yeah.
very technical, but once it gets to a certain weight, the technical, proficiency starts to break
Yeah.
down a bit. So
Yeah.
you can't keep your back angle. Your ass is shooting up.
Mhm.
You're kind of like diving under the bar, and it's like, okay, then where do you go from there?
Yeah. But I think too, like because of social media, we do see a lot of like really high level weightlifters across the world, but especially like in the States where Instagram is such a like highlight reel and you see what might be like, oh, well, these athletes are like, these are the top athletes. They look like they're like lifting perfect every day. And I think more athletes and people in general are posting like misses. It's hard to be like, haha, I sucked during this lift, but here it is. Like, I'm human. I know for me, I think that has been the hardest thing as like, again, like an adult athlete of it's okay to, I think, I always thought it was like an excuse to be like, well, I had a hard day at work, or I have like life stress going on. And it felt like an excuse to admit, like, oh, I'm not perfect today. Oh man, I couldn't just be this robot that was able to like put all the bullshit that's happening aside and just lift. Like, there will be days where I think the weight of things that are going on in your life is heavier than the weight that you're lifting. And being able to not let that day mean I'm terrible at weightlifting. I should just quit the sport because I'm human and I have a life going on. And I think that's something with like, oh, we've talked about it with like just new like life things that kind of happen as you get older, where you learn how to just handle that better with weightlifting and being able to kind of like bounce back easier. Of like days are different. So I could have maybe not great Monday. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna forget how to snatch on Friday, you know?
Yeah, that's like the biggest thing with this stuff because like you got to take your good days and really be proud of them regardless of what you think or regardless of what numbers you're hitting. And then like everything's a learning experience. So even if they don't have a good session, what could you do something differently?
Mhm.
So it's like if I have a bad session, I kind of think about like, all right, what could I done differently as far as like, did I warm up right? Did I approach did I approach the bar, a certain attitude? Did I like practice visualization? Was I snacking on anything? Was I
Mhm.
hydrating?
Mhm.
I think about a lot of those things when I train. A lot, actually. People don't think that, think I'm just some stupid dude. But
No.
like sometimes I'll practice, like, hey, maybe if I drink my pre-workout early, I can like feel warm while I'm doing warm up. Or like, do I drink enough water? Because even though if you drink
Mhm.
pre-workout, you still gotta have more water intake. It's almost like double. And obviously, everyone knows you got like oxygen in your blood and it goes into your muscles. So like you need that water for your muscles to work properly. So you could be hype and have all this stuff going on, but you still need to hydrate and do the simple things, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just sometimes I just think about that stuff too.
Well, and I think a lot of it is, what are the things that you can control? There's a lot of things in life that you can't, but when you're at the gym, what are the things that you can try to do to the best of your ability to have a good session? There are going to be days where the gym is more crowded and it's harder to focus. Maybe that's the day you put your headphones in, or you find one thing to focus on that's not going to derail your whole session because X, Y, and Z happened. What if that happens when you're competing? You're going to yell at someone because, you know, maybe, maybe, I don't know. But I think in, what am I saying?
Because we both be crashing out sometimes.
Sometimes we crash out. So, and I think it happens to everyone. But I think that's something, especially for like mock meet heavy days. We talk about preparing for a competition, like trying to think about everything that you might maybe be recreating on competition day. And it won't be perfect to a T, but trying to do everything that you can to like really prep for competition so that it doesn't feel as like completely different how I'm training versus how I'm competing, having like some similarities in there.
So what are you specifically doing now to prep you for your next competition?
Making lifts. Try. No, honestly, I think what's been new coming back is I'm missing a lot more lifts than I think I used to let myself miss. Sorry, Ryan. And I don't even want to say letting myself. Like, I'm kind of pushing myself past a level of comfort where, because I want exposure to heavier lifts, I'm kind of forcing myself to do some of them, and a lot of them I think have been ugly, but it's like a mental win to be like, this isn't how I usually would do things, but I am healthy enough to be able to accidentally do extra snatch volume because of some misses and then still have a good clean and jerk session. Some of that is not cutting weight, but thinking of it that way of like, okay, cool. I can like try to challenge myself in this way, not have that completely derail my clean and jerks. I can go into my clean and jerks and still feel strong. Um, and so I think with me being really hard on myself, that's something I'm trying to force myself to be pretty uncomfortable. It's hard lifting around. We talked about this last episode. it's hard lifting around people like or I guess for me that I'm like starting to know. And I want to be perfect all the time. That's not real. No one's expecting that of me. That's harder, I think, of a mental hurdle for me to get over than competing. Because when I compete, my mentality is totally different of like, yeah, you guys should be looking at me. But in training, it's so much more vulnerable of like, I don't know how this is gonna go. Um, and so kind of pushing myself to try to like get out of that. And I think it's been a good like work in progress, but that's that's tough. And it's only because of the expectations I have on myself. No one is putting these on me other than myself.
Yeah, like just like you saying you're like missing a lot more and whatnot, which is not even much, by the way. Maybe a couple snatches. You gotta fail to learn. You
Yeah.
gotta you gotta try. Like, it's not if you're not
Yeah.
trying, like if you're always making stuff and you're never gonna learn from successes sometimes. You're gonna learn
Yeah.
more from these times that are harder and you're pushing yourself in different ways in order
Mhm.
to grow. And I feel like, everyone has that phase where it's gonna be that hard like roadblock where it's like, okay, what do I have to do in order to like have a different result, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just like smashing your head into the wall 1,000 times and think something's gonna change.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, for me, like obviously, like I think one thing, if your body feels good, you're probably mentally gonna feel better. Obviously, if you're having fun doing stuff that's different, you're
Mm.
gonna be more inclined to like be excited about the gym. Me, it's like whatever you're driven by. If you're driven by making like 10 snatches perfectly at the same weight and an EMOM, great. If it's something that
Mhm.
like I could push myself in a weird variation and have some sort of like random PR, that's what motivates me. I like the variance of like having a daily challenge and something to look forward to, not something I like looking forward to like dread. I don't know if that makes
Yeah.
sense, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it
it's like
does. But I think it's kind of like weightlifting party tricks. Like you have random complex that you're like, cool, max this out.
mhm.
Party trick, like new trick unlocked.
But also, like, you also gotta put yourself, like you were saying, Casey, in, like, uncomfortable situations
Yeah.
and doing it like you love it. Like I always said
Mhm.
with the David Goggins
Yeah.
thing, like, do something that you hate
I thought your
and act like you
job
like
you love. Love.
don't love your job, job you love. I hate that. I like that.
Yeah.
That didn't make any
But
sense.
I think like a good example of that I know for me personally was I guess like kind of a little bit on the topic of work. Last year, I was talking to my boss and there's like a pretty big conference that I had attended in and I listened to a lot of the speakers and I was like, man, I think this is something I could do. I had a terrible fear of public speaking. I didn't want to be on a stage talking to people. So what did I do? My boss and I was like, there's one way to overcome this fear. We're going to try to present at this conference. And we did. And it was scary. But then while we were doing it, it was like the craziest high. And I think that's weightlifting.
Mhm.
There's so many like life lessons you learn with weightlifting. But yeah, like embracing a lot of the uncomfortable kind of like gray area. There is some black and white in weightlifting and in life, but most of it is very gray.
Black and white. No, I'm just
Oh
kidding.
yeah, that's
But yeah, like just weightlifting in general. So we got the Arnold coming up. I'm really excited about that because I never get to do it because of work, but I signed up for it and we're doing it. Well, I'm doing it. But Casey's
yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
supporting and helping.
Cheerleader, yeah.
But it's gonna be so weird for me. Like I'm not cutting for the first time ever. Kind of like in a different environment, I guess. Like solo dolo. I've been posting every single training session leading up to the finals because not finals, leading up to the Arnold because I just wanted to like put myself out there, show my journey of like what's been going on. I've been putting my a program completely out on there. If people even care,
Mhm.
probably not. But I been just being super transparent of like what this progress has been like. But I am really excited to just not be on social media as much after this. It's
Yeah, he's been posting like crazy.
I'll be like, man, fucking, it's like, I gotta make this stupid video. Can you cook for me? Like, get back from the gym. It's a lot of work, but I did like whoever just interested and whatnot to, just see exactly what I'm doing. And I'm not hiding anything. There's no secret sauce. I just had to squat a lot. I had to try. I had to do things different. And that exposure's been good so far. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. So it's been this is the first time in a very long time that I felt like my body's not beat up. I feel like I'm in shape and oddly calm about the meet. Like I'm not nervous or anything like that. And
I
it's
think
just
some
like,
of that comes from a feeling of preparedness,
yeah,
you know? Because I know a lot of times, I think, right, you have a meet coming up, and the classic question is like, well, how do you feel? I think a lot of times I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'll know the day I pick up the barbell. It's
exactly.
kind of like, I'll know the day of. But I think a lot of that does come from feeling prepared, trusting that what you've been doing works now or has been working. And those nerves come probably the day before the day of. But those nerves are almost like out of excitement and pride, not
Hmm.
necessarily nervousness because you're like, oh shit, I don't know if
Yeah,
I'm
like
ready
I'm
for
not
this.
questioning
Yeah.
my snatch technique
Yeah.
like the night before. I'm like, am I gonna have a good day or am
Am
I
I gonna
not?
remember how to do this? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, you know how to do it. It's just like, I don't know, but I don't know how else to explain it other than I'm excited about the Arnold in general. I think the Rogue stage is going to be really fun to watch, even though
Mhm.
it's happening like right as I'm competing
Yeah, like
or
right
right
before.
before.
Yeah.
Um, but is there anybody specifically or any like event that you're excited about the Arnold?
I don't know. I feel like I have FOMO because I'm not competing, but I'm glad I'm not so that I can kind of focus my energy on like you competing and we can kind of just have like a nice weekend away from the dogs and everything. But I don't know. I think it's just nice to see
Yeah.
nice to see you. It's just cool to see, another calendar year. The weightlifters are on the stage.
Well, I'm
I
excited to see all the friends that,
Well, also,
yeah,
yeah, all of our friends. I mean,
yeah.
because there's been I haven't seen a lot of people in close to a year, a lot of our friends. So I am excited. That's really why I still wanted to go on the trip was
And the
for that.
the Arnold in general, like I love
The whole
the
festival.
the whole festival is
Yeah.
cool. I love it. It's
Yeah.
actually really cool. Like I don't know, it's as far as like it being like a national meet or whatever. It's like it's I think it's the coolest, and
And we get to drive to it.
it's
That's
only
really why
yeah
it's
like 3 hours.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super easy.
Mm.
Was there like no specific person or lifter that you're excited about or
I mean, I always love watching Olivia Reeves lift, but who doesn't?
yeah?
I think the Rogue stage, both Rogue stages are going to be good. Um, and again, I think just with a lot of these weight class changes, and everything is still changing later this year, but with the weight class changes, it's been interesting to see where lifters are going, whether up or down, filling out weight classes or dropping a couple kilos. So yeah, I think it'll kind of like set the stage for US weightlifting this year. It will be interesting to see.
I'm just hoping that I could see Hamp hit 190 clean and jerk.
Yeah.
Cause yeah, I saw in training it was a PR clean and it did not look like a PR. It looked super easy. Just missed the jerk out in front just a little bit, but I think he definitely has that. So and he's gonna be competing at 71, so he's not cutting, and he's gonna be on the Rogue stage. So
It'll be hype.
I was so
Yeah.
excited to see
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Everyone else too, like Daniel Wintonen,
Mhm.
94 lifter. He finally got invited the Rogue stage. Like he's been hitting
Mm.
world record snatches, so I'm excited to see what he could do in that weight class. What is weird, and since there's no like universities anymore, there's I don't know if the Stars and Stripes platform's gonna be in the hallway, but I'm gonna be in the hallway if it is, and
Some hallway
there's
lifting.
some A sessions in there, so I don't know if it's set up. I don't want to like trash on USAW and whatnot and what's going on, but it seems kind of odd, and hopefully it'll be fine. But I know that it's gonna be a little odd. Let's just put it that way. So I don't know what we are on timeline because I can't see the screen, but I guess we can kind of finish up with some rapid fire questions like we usually do, and then
Yeah.
we'll close it out. So for the power, let's see here. I'm on my phone because I have ChatGPT write me stuff. I don't care. I'm gonna be completely honest. I have it. I written, structured, so I'm not scatterbrained. So, rapid question for you is
Okay.
training twice a day with a 9 to 5 job.
Just question mark?
Yeah, this says it. Yeah.
So I did that. I did that when I first started weightlifting, and I was early on in my career. I trained like this isn't rapid fire. I trained like 9 times a week. Now, no. 2 dogs, boyfriend. I have 3 dogs and a job. No.
And then you asked me a question.
Okay. Where'd the questions go? All the way down here. All right. All right.
So this is rapid, huh?
Yeah. Saying no to social events for training.
I don't know. I'm indifferent. It
I say
depends on.
no.
Yeah, saying no to.
Because I think there's ways, even like I know I've gone out and not drank,
Mhm.
or if I felt that, because this is another question of like work life balance. What about like life training balance?
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes, like, if I'm stuck at work and those guys are drinking at the bar after flying and whatnot, and they're like, "Why don't you hang out with the bros?" I'm like, "Dude, I got training, man. Like, I got during the week. Maybe you can catch me like when I'm not competing
Mm-hmm.
or maybe not training. But yeah, they'll understand one day.
Yeah. I think there's ways to find, I mean, again,
I
that
mean, I've drank a
balance. And
non-alcoholic beer once,
yeah.
just one, and then booked and went home.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For me, it's just like nice to put on like real people clothes and do something, even if I'm not like fully partaking. That's
Mhm.
been a way that I find balance.
I feel like you're really bright. Hopefully,
I am. I look extra. I need a tan. Oh my gosh. Competing even when not 100%.
Yeah, it depends. I feel like if you're not gonna gain anything out of it and you're gonna injure, like potential to injure yourself,
Mhm.
absolutely not. But if like you're not 100%, who cares? Have fun with it. You're gonna pay
Yeah.
them. You pay the money to
Mhm.
do it. Just go have fun and get your money's worth.
Yeah, and I think an interesting, I guess, for me with this one would be like, this to me is like not the same as, but like competing just to compete. I have an opinion on that. I don't know. I don't know if that's like necessary. I also don't compete super frequently though.
Nah, I think that could be another podcast. Yeah. What's next?
I
Work
kind
life.
of flipped around.
Oh, that's okay. So basically, stay tuned for. We'll probably do a recap of the Arnold. We're gonna hang out with Eli and some other friends. So I'm really excited about that.
It's
All
a joke.
all the homies out there, hopefully just come say hey. Hopefully I can get this out before the Arnold. You guys can listen to it and get hyped up for you guys' lift. And last but not least, ask us questions so we could answer them for the next pod. And
we can post something on like the story maybe to get questions. I was thinking about that. Yeah.
But yeah, stay tuned and thanks for sticking around. If you lasted this long, you guys are a real one. Peace.